Hey everybody, welcome to a new series I'm test driving, having a little fun with on my channel, some random polls, comic book back issues, and just hang out fun time. I've sent the link to a bunch of homies, and we never know who's going to be joining to hang out. I don't even know when I'm going to do this show next because my work schedule is getting a little bit wackadoo, but I definitely wanted to spend time hanging with you all and you friends, and specifically I got two gentlemen backstage. Two badass bearded bros hanging backstage. So let's just see who we got here. We got the bearded comic bro.
Dude.
We got Comic Man Andy. What is up?
So good.
I can't wait to see who John's bringing on tonight. Wait, look.
Yeah, it'll be exciting.
Who's that guy? He's got the same background as me.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah. So this show is centered around back issues. Like, what do you got in the bins? Not necessarily what you grabbed this week, but what do you got in the bins from last few months, years, whatever. We're going to talk a little bit about run collecting, which I think is kind of a dying breed of art. And not a lot of people collecting runs anymore. They're usually collecting keys. So sometimes it's nice just to hear, hey, do you have a run that you collect? We'll hear a little bit about that. I got a Batman topic I want to get to, but first off the bat, we're going to start with a random pull, and Perry, this is for you, brother. I know you wanted to see this. What do we got here for you?
Excuse me while I whip this out.
We are going to whip out a random pull here for you all. I'm going to start in this box of I got two Batman bins here that I've opened up. I didn't get the third short box of Batman out, but I'm going to talk a lot of Batman today, so I thought I'd dive in and see what we get here. And I got a Tom King Batman issue 50. Let me blow myself up here a little bit.
Ooh, you're going right off the bat.
Bumped it right off the bat, literally. Yeah. Fun variant cover for this issue 50. I do love this cover. Nice crotch Batman flying right at you. Hard to go wrong. So there was the buzzer right off the bat. Some books. What? Anybody else got a random pull they're ready to do?
Yeah. Tell me when to stop.
Okay. 3, 2, stop.
Okay. So I've got.
Let's see what you get.
Ooh. All right. So I have like 4 long boxes of Batman, and this is what we got: Batman, Superman, volume issue number 8.
The Williamson run. Nice.
Yep. So I was hoping it was just a Batman book, but it isn't. It's Superman's in there too. But
I got a mix. I got Catwoman in here too. She pops in from time to time. All right, Andy, you ready?
Count me down, John.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, stop. I skipped the 1.
Oh, actually, I don't know if I can show this. Yeah, let me give me 30 seconds here. I forgot that I grabbed the most random box on a whim because John said, "What's up?" And I said, "Here I am." He said, "Grab a short box." I said, "Okay, here we go." So give me just a second to make sure.
I'll just come here. You can hide pieces behind Dr. Fate if you need to. Just put right.
I got it. I got it right here. So we've got chapter 1 from a Kickstarter that I picked up from Ryland Grant's The Jump.
I've seen that cover. Ryland Grant is hilarious.
I was about to give you grief of what kind of dirtbag are you that you have that book? And then I see the cover and I'm like, oh wait, snap! I have that exact same book.
I love it. Oh my gosh!
Andy, did you pull my first appearance in comic books just for this show?
Certainly did.
My parents would be so proud that my first appearance in a comic book has one of the variant covers just has a naked booty on it.
I'm saying, that's a win-win, right? Well, Andy's cracking up. Let's say hello to the chat. We had Ruben Guzman tailgating with Perry in here. Wondering what we're going to pull out. You just don't freaking know. We got Sam I Am says, is this a continuation of your post on IG today? We will bring that up, and I'm going to share some of the great comments we had on that post, so that's going to happen for sure. Tom, what is up? The Bearded Comic Girl says, great show about John ranting about Batman. Not my plan, actually, but, always happens anyways, right? Hello to the Burke fan. What's going on? He says, we're talking Batman 84, Joker 6, and Mighty Morphin 10 if I want to come on tonight. Did not pick any of those up this week. Sorry to say. That's not my pull list.
I did not read any of those books.
not my pull list. We got TK's Bat Cave. He says, I had to be here for this one. There's the bat. I see the bat. Old Wolf, how you doing? Good to see you, my man. Glitter and duct tape. What is going on, Crystal? JP says, hello, everybody. Good to see you, JP. Dave is here. He left a great comment. I'm going to share some of that as well. Thank you for doing that, my man. Perry says, John is normal beard. Bearded is advanced beard. And Andy is the headmaster. I mean, it's a before, middle, and after.
I'm okay with that. My wife would not be happy with me if I was a headmaster beard all the time like Andy's wearing. So
gotta love some blazing saddles, JP, right? John is blowing himself up. I am flexible. Burke family with a super chat. Thank you so much, my man. That's so awesome of you. I'm getting started. My YouTube's getting started. I appreciate you checking us out. Let's see. Who else? Did I miss anybody? No, we did not get Bat Wang. Not yet. Let's see. Are we good? That I think I get every Spine Tigs. What is up, Steve? Good to see you, my man. And he says, you guys start early for school. I'm on summer vacation. I'm still doing summer classes. We're doing like summer camp kind of stuff. That's what's going on here.
All the kids started here already.
Yeah, right. So Kate starts on Tuesday next week. And then Charlie and I are still a little ways off. Come on, Mama, what's going on? So, yeah, the thing that everybody in the chat is talking about, and I'll lay the overlay so we don't have to look at Greg anymore, but I made a little meme. I made a little joke here that I thought was kind of funny. Super grateful to DC for releasing this handy poster to help you keep track of the books they're publishing this week, because this was the reality. There was like 8 to 10 books with Batman in some way or another on the list this week. And I posed a question that I'd love to hear from you guys a little bit about as well, which is basically this. I hear the books are really good. Like a lot of them are really, really good is what I'm hearing. My question is, long-term, is this a viable business option for DC? And I had some great comments, but I want to hear, Greg, I know you're a huge Batman fan. You got like 7 this week.
Yeah, I did.
What are your thoughts?
Which is weird because I don't always get. We've had this conversation before. I don't always get all the Batman books,
right?
Because there are a lot, and I'm a diehard Batman fan for sure. I think it's a model that DC is trying to sustain financially right now. They're looking at the right here and now.
Right.
And what's right here and now is Batman sells. Whether you like it or not, Batman sells.
Absolutely.
I looked at
the name of their company, and somebody mentioned this, is Detective Comics. It's not Action Comics. It's not Green Lantern or whatever.
It's Detective Comics, and it's Batman's one of the most recognizable names. That logo alone is probably the most recognizable logo in the world, maybe second to Superman, if that. And I would even probably say it's more than Superman
these days,
because of TV shows, because of movies and things like that. I think the more Batman books they're getting, you're getting more. It's opening the door for other stories to be told for other. I know I'm a big Booster Gold fan now, but
I'm so happy he's getting
a series. But are they giving him a series? Are they expecting Booster Gold to carry the weight of DC to allow for, to bring in the money? Or are we getting a Booster Gold series because we have 6 Batman books that are raking in the money to then provide these smaller avenues of Batman books or other avenues of DC books?
So you're saying that it's possible that having success with Batman enables DC as a publisher to continue on in some manner?
Because if you look at it from the financial standpoint, they're going to go with what the money is telling them. And I did.
It's when Marvel did the same thing with Spider-Man at one point. There were like 15 Spider-Man books.
And I did a Google search, and I could be, I don't know. So I don't know how legit these facts are, but I looked at a search just to see like the top selling comic books in June. And of the 12 books, there was, out of all of them, but I think there were 5 Batman books in June in the top 10.
There you go.
And
that speaks for itself in some ways.
Book was like in 2025.
Oh, you're saying that those were the only DC books in the top 10?
Yeah, so if you're looking at the top from the site, I'm just again, and I don't know how legit.
Yeah, but this is one resource. Let's just say.
So it was Venom, Spawn Universe, Berserker, Star Wars, then Batman, Nice House on the Lake, X-Men.
Nice House.
Nice House is DC. then Batman Fortnite, Joker.
Jesus. Yeah, the Fortnites I know are
Like,
huge.
So Robin. So it was like at one point, yeah. So there are some DC that I think crack into it, but most of the DC's biggest selling it seems to be related to the Batman universe, which is it's hard to go with against what the money sells. Like, yeah, like people buy what they want to buy. I mean, that's why it's been rebooted so often with, and I also think it's Batman is one of those very unique categories too, when you're talking about comics, right? Like, I feel like Booster Gold, I'm using Booster Gold just because it's fresh in my mind. Booster Gold is Booster Gold. You're going to get a Booster Gold story. You know what you're getting into. I think you have 2 to possibly 3 different camps when you're looking at Batman. You have your dark and gritty. You have your, I grew up on the Adam West Batmans. And you have your kind of Joel Schumacher, which is even more probably over the top than Adam West, which is weird to say. And I think like that's why Warner Brothers had such a heck of a time half the time trying to go like, oh, they swung too dark on the Batman Returns, and now they're swinging they were swinging too cheesy with the Batman Forever, Batman and Robin. But for certain demographics, I think Batman is one of those characters that I think has such a split personality when it comes to comic fans. I grew up reading Neil Adams. I grew up reading. So
you're saying there's a versatility to the Batman universe that others don't have, and therefore you can have these alternative universe, alternative takes, black label even titles that allow for every reader to find their Batman.
I think because wherever you talk about to any person, if you're just going from a movie, who's your Batman? It's who did you go see, right? Right. It's who did you see Batman, in the theaters first? It was Batman Forever. It's always going to doesn't mean Batman Forever is the best Batman movie by any means. But for a kid who saw Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight, that is Batman to them. Right. That was their first. And so I think you have that with comics where you don't have it. Aspect. You don't have that as much of a split personality of a character of such a popular character.
Is it because characters like Superman have kept and maintained an identity that's pretty consistent versus somebody like Batman, where you look at Bill Finger, what he did, you look at Frank Miller, what he did, you look at each writer has taken a turn, and then you look at the movies, like you're saying, inspired by different people.
Yeah. And I mean, but you look at the movies, people get upset with Superman if he's not the good all-American boy. And they say like Superman's one of the hardest to write because of,
he's so locked in
because he's so locked into it. Where Batman, I think, has been one of those where his story and arc has shifted so often throughout times from, Carmen, I'm blanking on his
Falcone,
not Falcone, but the writer Carmen
Infantino,
those style with the Joe Giella, that style where like that style of Batman versus when Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil took over,
Frank Miller, and
then you throw in you even throw in the Batman Adventure series that was written that bringing in the animated series, which is darker, but it was still more kid related. So it feels like Batman is such a character, and I think Spider-Man is similar to it if you're looking at it from a Marvel standpoint, where it can kind of shift and swing the balance a little bit, but I don't think anyone does it as much as Batman.
It's the abs. It's his abs. That's what makes him flexible. But let's hear. I mean, Andy, you've been very patient. You've been chilling. What are your thoughts on this business model? Short-term, long-term, fan, outsider. What do you think? I feel like
you guys are gonna love this. I feel like DC is a fisherman that's been fishing in the same pond for the last 60 years, but instead of finding other ponds and streams to fish, he just keeps changing his lure, trying to catch the same fish over and over and over. It's like, sure, they're gonna make what sells because they're trying to pay the bills. It's like a 40-year-old guy who's got this great idea, but instead of reaching out and trying new things and trying to become a millionaire, he just keeps going to the same job every day in, day out, and paying the bills, just paying the bills. And that's what DC's doing. Is DC's surviving. They're paying the bills. Right. They're making what sells because that's what's paying the bills for them. That's unfortunate. I'd like to see more innovation out of DC. And we've started to. They've kind of rebooted like that. With that Black Series or Black Labels
Black
out.
Label,
nice House on the Lake. That's just kind of another reiteration of something they've tried in the past. Right. But they've kind of hit some higher notes for some collectors and some readers. Truth be told, I've enjoyed Batman reads, but I'm not a diehard Batman fan. I'm not a diehard Superman fan. Some of those reads I've enjoyed have all been long in the past. I'm not really a regular DC buyer, and people tell me that I need to change that, and I agree with them. I do need to pick up some stuff. I usually just wait until it hits the dollar bins, though.
Or the trades. You can pick up a trade and read. I mean, if you want to read Court of Owls or a really great Batman story, I think one of the things I've liked about reading Batman is that it's easy to go and get a volume of a writer's series and enjoy Long Halloween or what have you, as opposed to reading Detective Comics each month or every, I guess it's twice a month still, right? I want to read something Todd Christian said, because I love this comment and huge fan. Thank you, Todd Christian, for reading this, because he made a great comparison and some great commentary. He said, well, how many X books does Marvel put out in a given week? The reason DC puts out so many Bat books is because there's demand for the character, plus he's one of their most interesting characters. And also, one of the titles, I Am Batman, is a personal project by John Ridley, screenwriter for 12 Years a Slave. Should DC turn him down because they don't need another Batman book right now? Also, could you if you praise something like Nightwing, isn't that a Batman-related book in some way? Further, I disagree with the premise that there are too many Bat books to begin with, considering that most of the Bat books are equal and excellent in quality. Nothing personal, just a disagreeing on your stance. I love it. Firstly, I love a good disagree. And that was an incredibly polite and effective way to disagree with what we were saying. And the only argument I have on the X-Men side that I would love to hear the discussion on is the X titles, firstly, aren't just one character focused, where the Batman books, a lot of them are focused on primarily Batman in some way. Also, the X titles are all a connected universe where all the issues tie into one another. The Wolverine who shows up in one is the Wolverine in the other one, and the stories are all sort of interwoven. The Bat books oftentimes are like separate universes, and there's very little crossover between the books. A lot of times, what's happening in, what is the Legend of the Dark Knight Batman is not going to happen in Detective. It's not going to affect Detective in any real way. And then there's obviously the 3 or 4 Black Label books a month as well. So what are your thoughts on some of that? Anybody?
I mean, I think it's the same aspect though. Like, I know you're like, well, the X-Men books, it features different characters, but I mean, when you commented on my new comic book day post of, oh, you pulled 7 Batman books. Well, I think it was Detective came out. I think I pulled Batman, then I Am Batman, the John Ridley,
the Ridley
Zero. And then I pulled Robin, or not Robin.
Sorry.
You just look, but it was like Pennyworth, Joker.
I counted Pennyworth, which is a bit of an unfair call,
because I mean,
Batman's not in that
100% it's the going to the route that Stars did it with the TV show of the espionage. And
so let's see. I see I Am Batman, Pennyworth, Batman the Adventures Continues, Batman Legends, Batman Detective, and I counted Joker. There's a Joker one, and I counted Batman 89.
Right, which is Batman. So you should. So there's probably 5, which is still a lot. I'm not trying to. No. I think.
And those are the ones you bought. Maybe there's other ones that you didn't buy.
I don't actually. This week, I don't think there was any more that I didn't buy. But it's. I think it works better that they're not all connected, unlike X-Men, because you can pick up a Batman book that is your style, right?
That's what you mentioned earlier, yeah.
And I think you can get to the one you want. People that love the Batman 89 movies, they're going to resonate with, holy cow, you're doing a continuation now into a comic book? I want to get that. I want to read that. It opens up the door for that. And so, I mean, I don't think it's too different than all the other X-Men. There's a different style of it, but it's still the same thing of, it's just still the same universe that's over connected and that's overdone for sure.
What about you, Andy? What do you think?
Lost. I'm so lost. I agree with a lot of points being made in the chat and like what you guys said, catering to a style of Batman. I do like that. I'm eventually going to pick up that Batman 89 and check that out.
And I heard good things about the I Am Batman as well. And I will say, my guy Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen have a Batman coming in November that I've got to freaking buy now.
Now, I did see that cover, and I did about crap a brick and realize that's the creative team that I need to read. So it looks like I'm going to be adding a Batman book to my pull list.
Which is exactly what I said. I had like 4 people that send me that image.
And just like when you talk about like DC and Marvel, how connective that some of the people in the chat are talking about with X-Men and some other stuff. Yeah, then it gets to be kind of nuts. That's why I cut way back on Marvel titles. Is X-Men over the last year and a half burnt me right out, trying to pick up everything and keep up with everything. And I'm like, no. And you can't just usually grab one title with something like that with X-Men and the crossovers and everything, because I feel like I'm always missing out.
Right.
So,
and it does. It allows you to have if you go to a comic book shop, right, and you say, hey, what do you want to? You could say, what's your Batman? And someone say, oh, I really love Batman Forever. Well, you have an idea of what title you could lean towards if you're reading the books, right? Same as if you're like, ooh, I love the Michael Keaton. You have a sense of what their style of Batman is if they're going from a movie standpoint. But I know, Andy, you said something in your last time where you said that DC is going to the same well, right? Where they're a fisherman. And I think it's interesting because I feel like they are, but they're doing it because they can. It makes them like, for example, I feel like it's easier for DC to change something about a character who's canon in DC than to create a new character, right?
Right.
It is easier for DC, and they're going to sell a lot more by changing Tim Drake's orientation in that than creating a new character who is, who's in the orientation, because it's easier. You're going to get people one way or the other who are going to buy it because it's always been something they know, or they're going to buy it because they want to just be involved in the hype of something.
So then are you at all now, because I want to get to the worry that I have about this. My central worry is that this long-term hurts DC. And because I'm a Batman fan, I'm a DC fan. I like these things. My worry, and the only reason I tend to hammer home on this, is my worry is it's not sustainable, and it spells the end. So Peter Parker says it better than me. Peter Parker's Comics on Instagram said, well, DC has already been hinting at ceasing comic production in the near future and most definitely doing away with actual print comic, but maybe going digital and trade. Warner or AT&T have made it pretty clear they're not putting any more unnecessary money into the comics portion of DC. They're not even very interested in fueling the movies, which is the biggest moneymaker the comics have to offer. I truly think DC is just riding out their last wave into the sunset by throwing out mass amounts of what sells, Batman. And it kicks out the expensive artists, creators, editors, and just brings in people for cheap to churn out nothing but Batman until the fat lady sings.
I feel like
which is harsh, but it's my
ago.
Worry. That's my nightmare scenario, is that DC is just digital and trades because of, and not because of this, I should say, but this is the start of that path.
I think there's too many other markets that they can break into yet. I mean, are they really going to want to let go of that? They're really just going to tread water and not get into emerging markets like what Marvel's trying to do with overseas. I mean, not saying they're successful by any means, but they're attempting and they're trying, because I just don't see DC. There's too many people here that are diehard fans that have a long life ahead of them yet, that are spending a great deal of money on comic books every week. So I don't see them letting go of that, but I do agree with being worried about just getting cheap creators in to churn titles. I hope they don't do that.
But it's not. I mean, obviously, you could argue it's clearly not cheap creators when you have Jeff Lemire, Dustin Nguyen,
John Riley,
Justin Ridley,
Tom Taylor,
Ridley.
Paraphrasing. I mean,
but if the quantity is 20 books a month, and 10 of them are amazing, but 10 of them aren't, then is the ratio a flawed design that can't be sustained long term? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't kill the film TV side either if they're having successful sale of trade paperbacks. They're still creating stories that are popular that they can then spin into TVs and movie shows. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting because when all the AT&T stuff with DC and people like DC's going to sell their comic branch because they don't really care, and Marvel would snatch that up in a heartbeat if they could have DC's comic, right? Like they would take DC's comic properties in a heartbeat.
Right.
And I would hesitate though to ask if DC ever had to sell their comic book properties to anyone. You're telling me Marvel or whoever would buy it or another, Image or something, they're going to be churning out Batman books as well because it's
absolutely.
What sells. And I think it opens the door. I mean, you look at, I don't know. I'm not as avid of a Marvel reader, but I know how many Spider-Man books there are that are being turned out. I know how many X-Men books. And I know when they turn out stuff like, Guardians of the Galaxy books, they're just, even with the movies, they're not popular. And they had Donny Cates on it. It didn't last long. And so
we only did book club for 2.5 years and we read 3 Guardians of number ones.
Right.
And they were all shitty. They all sucked.
I mean, maybe that's what's going to be best for DC in the long run is for somebody else to buy it and run with it.
God, I'm scared of that too because I think Marvel owning DC is a problem. But I don't want to be like the guy pushing the panic button and freaking people out because I'm not a panic.
Right.
I don't think the people that own Marvel would want to do that and try to merge and confuse brands, right?
Right.
Like I don't know how
there's a ton of marketing value, merchandise value in these names.
Yeah, there's massively that somebody's going to see value in that and run with it. And I don't know who's worth what nowadays, but just think of what if Jim Lee outright, like I'm not saying he could.
It's just like Michael Jackson buying all the Beatles music.
like somebody of that stature that's a diehard DC fan or loves DC, loves the characters, wants to see it and continue running with it. Who's to say that? Who's to say that somebody out there that potentially could make that happen doesn't do it? And then that's for the best, in my opinion. Actually, more.
I mean, if it's somebody that believes in the product and can cultivate the universe,
how much red tape would they actually be able to drop that Warner Brothers, stifling everything, or what the amount of stifling that they do that wouldn't happen? Imagine what DC could do and grow and become without all that red tape.
Right.
I'd be curious to know if someone actually knows though what are the actual comic book market sales, and I haven't Googled this, so it's not like a trick question between DC and Marvel. Because I do think we get so caught up in as fans a lot of DC or Marvel of where I have said it before. I'm like, I strongly slide to DC comics, and I'll pick up occasionally a Marvel book.
Right. But
you will hear it in the chat all the time. If someone's a DC book fan, they're like, Marvel just doesn't have what it takes to do what they need to do with the comics, but they got the movies but if you're a Marvel fan, you'll say DC's a hot mess over here with their comics. So it'd be interesting to actually see if we as fans can put away our allegiances and just say what are actually the sales that are happening and putting out there, because I'd be curious to see what it is, because I think it's what you grew up reading. Did you grow up reading? John hopped up last time on a different
John
show.
Lovers on my channel. We need more John Lovers in the world. I'm just going to say.
What is that? What does it mean? Because again, I don't know if it hurts. That's where I struggle with, I guess. Does it hurt their model because they're putting out Batman books? Oh, they're selling. So I don't know. I guess I don't see the scenario of where it's a bad thing if they're selling, because it's people. They're still putting out.
But they clearly
titles.
can't all be selling, right? I mean, clearly there's going to be a bunch, those top 5, maybe there's 10 of them. But
right.
If they're releasing 30, I mean, there was 7 this week. Right. If you multiply that out, you could be that's a ton of books, and they can't all be top 10ers,
Yeah, but I mean, I don't. Again, does and I think a lot of these other Batman books, a lot of them are a 6-issue series, right? Pennyworth,
because they're gearing for that trade, they're gearing for that collected edition, right?
And so, say Pennyworth, which is a 6-issue series, is a dud. Does it hurt them as much as if it's a success that then they have something to run with that it helps them more? I wonder, if the cost benefit, does it what outweighs the other one of? Well, yeah, because we're doing a 5-issue series, we're not committed to it long term. But if people want to, okay, cool, we'll keep this up. I think their ongoing series, DC's Batman ongoing series, are the weaker ones of all the Batman books, right?
Well, is it because they're stuck to the comic book system of
correct
having to put him back to where he was at the beginning of each issue, and tell a little arc and then go back and they're doing 2 a month, which is I still think a horrible system.
Right.
I don't know. All right. Well, I don't want to go on too long. I wanted to mention Chaos and Comics also pointed out that like it's business strategies and that Marvel has their cover strategy where they have a ton of variants for their books. And that's a flawed comic books, business strategy. And that, you could easily argue that I wanted to mention that. I mean, I try not to bring up Chaos too much, but like that was one that I wanted to at least touch on a little bit.
Yeah, because then all your extras end up in Walmart packs.
Hey-o. Speaking of which, I think we got to do another random poll here, gentlemen. Where's my, where are we at here? Sorry, too slow on that one. Wasn't it?
Excuse me while I whip this out.
We are going to do another random poll. So I am going to go up first. I knew that would get Andy every time. I'm going into my other Batman and assorted whatever box here. Let's see what we got here at the front of this sucker. Oh, so I will say I do not hate unnecessarily on the Miller Dark Knight 2, Dark Knight 3. I think they're definitely more. It's just like Miller to the extreme. And Miller is Miller, but I got a little bit of entertainment out of Dark Knight Returns. This is Dark Knight Strikes Back. And I even enjoyed, and I have the trade thanks to my man Rod. I have the trade for Dark Knight. What is it? The third volume. I don't even remember what they call it. Master Race. I even read that one. I didn't hate that one. I don't love it, but I didn't hate it. So there's a little Dark Knight. I've got all the individual issues for Dark Knight 2 and Dark Knight 1. I'm definitely a fan. Andy, you went last time. Let's go you first. Okay. 3,
Go your porn box, Andy.
2, 1, stop. Oops.
Ooh, John had to shrink them just to make sure the cover was good first.
It's actually double stacked, but that's okay. I'll show the one that I pulled. Very fitting. Punisher number 57 from Volume 2.
Almost looks like a sketch cover. Look at that.
Mm-hmm. I love that cover.
Like newspaper print quality thing going on there.
Yep, this was something of a. Let me see if Yep, there it is. So they had like a paper outer cover.
No way. And like
cover.
A photo cover almost on the inside.
Yep, so 90s. Absolutely love it. Very cool stuff. Punisher 57, Volume 2.
And so, Simon, to your question, like I bounce back and forth, like what do you count? I really was just trying to count books with Batman in the book. So I didn't even count Gotham, Future State Gotham, until the 3rd issue when Bruce Wayne actually showed up. And then I was like, crap, I got to stop buying this book now. Although I was frustrated that it was in black and white. That's legitimately a book that did not need to be in black and white. Gotham, Future State Gotham didn't need to be black and white. It's a fun book. I don't know what the black and white was doing. Bearded Comic Bro, are you ready to do a random poll?
I'm ready. Tell me when to stop.
All right, 3, 2, 1, stop. What do we got?
Ooh, okay.
That is fair, JP. Yeah.
Batman the Adventure continues.
Ooh, great cover.
Look at that. Look at that team. Burnett, Paul Dini, Ty Templeton.
Yeah. Dini, I mean, come on. Dini's lights out. Man.
And I just found out about the trade. Paul Dini has a book. Basically it's Paul Dini's story writing Batman in graphic novel form, and holy buckets, it's so good.
Now I'm trying to remember. Paul Dini is the one that had that horrible accident where he was mugged, right? And then he did a
and
graphic
this is a graphic novel of that. Yes.
Event.
Yep.
Yeah. So those that don't know, Paul Dini, big part of the Batman animated series, amazing artist, and was mugged.
Writer.
Yeah, and mugged in New York, and it was like scarring, like physically, emotionally, psychologically. He really went through a lot. He got seriously injured in the mugging, and then later created a graphic novel about kind of like, damn it, where was Batman? Like, where Batman didn't save me. Like you'd think Batman would have saved Paul Dini. And it was a really interesting look at reality versus comic books, and a really touching way to deal with his accident.
Yeah. And so I'm in halfway through that novel right now, and I'm gonna probably do a video about it because it's great.
Yeah. I remember really enjoying it. I mean, I got it from my library, I think.
Yeah.
So what we got here? From Mr. Chimes says no chance. Pennyworth is better than 007. Yeah, I can't imagine that Pennyworth would be better than Bond, but that's asking a lot.
Well, is Pennyworth the comic better than the Bond comics? Because I don't know how many people actually like the Bond comics.
My wrenches can definitely drop links to stuff in my chat. I'm totally fine with that. I would love it if somebody could drop the Bearded Comic Bro and the Comic Man Andy links. That would be fantastic because they definitely deserve it. Fire guy Ryan, I know he's on a little break, but I appreciate you coming by to hit the like button and say hello to us. Super Russ 9000 as well. What's up? So the second topic I want to have every time when I do these random polls is a little thing that I feel like is lacking these days, because I know we're in a key collector world right now. We're in a everybody wants to get the key book, have the big important issue. But I think one of the drawbacks of that, and something White Whale Comics and I, good to see you in the chat, talk about a lot, is the old days of collecting a run. So I grew up like run collecting was legit. Like you collected a run. You were a fan of Uncanny X-Men. You collected that run. You were a fan of whatever. I mean, not Action Comics or whatever. Some of those was a bit crazy. But you went after all the issues. You didn't care just for the keys. You wanted the whole thing. And that's kind of maybe a different era of collecting, but I was curious to talk about runs that you've gone after, whether they're, maxi series, mini series, event series, or an actual like issue of runs that you're collecting. Obviously, my Uncanny X-Men run was like one of the big ones that I've gone after, but on the Batman side, I've gone after Batman Year One. I wanted all those issues, or Dark Knight. I wanted all those issues. I was just curious if you guys had a specific run that you wanted to talk about that you're very passionate about. So, Andy, is there a run that you're like, this is one I'm working on or that I've completed that I'm really interested in?
Generally the only runs that I chase are the ones in my boxer briefs. But
I was waiting for it. You set them up, John. That's on you.
Just a little softball. Ding. No, seriously though, Punisher Volume 2, the issues 100 through 104 I just completed last year, the year before. That was one that I took my sweet time with because I was pulling them on dollar bins, and that's how I wanted to collect that whole run. So it was very fun completing that. Now I'm actually working on a run of Saga, not just cover A's, but all of the multiple printings.
Have you read Saga?
Wow. Yeah, Saga, really good read. You should check it out.
Literally just typed that too. There are multiple printings of books that I don't have yet. Even out in, I think 54 has a second printing that I don't have. And there's some 1 in 100 stuff that just people don't collect. There's like an issue in the 50s, like 51 or 52 or something like that. Maybe it was in the 40s. That there's a 1 in 100 with like an artist print poster that came in a poly bag that people just don't talk about, that I don't have a copy. I'm going to be looking for that as well. So that way I can flesh out the rest of that Saga series before we get back. I've been knocking on wood and saying it every year before we get back to that series and see where that goes. But
right.
Yeah,
you've got time to collect.
Yeah.
Ooh, JP looking at the Nightwing. We'd love to have you on at some point, JP, when whenever I do this show again to talk a little bit about the Nightwing runs. Okay, some Saga, predictable. I'm excited about the Punisher. So how far are you in that Punisher Volume 2? You said
done. That one, that's done. All the extra, the rares, the extra printings. Now I'm searching out Mark Jewelers variants and newsstands. Non-jewelers newsstands.
I only have one jeweler book in my entire comic book collection, just the one. YouTube Bearded, you got one?
I have one.
What's the comic?
Joker, I think issue number 7.
So he's got it as a Joker, Uncanny X-Men.
Oh, nice.
It's fitting. It's fitting that I have a Batman Mark Jeweler. You have it.
Thank you to my man. Dollars dropping the links to Bearded and to Andy's channels. Much appreciated, my brother. Okay, so Greg, what's you don't have to list all of them if you don't want to, but is there a run that you're either working on or that you've completed that you're proud of?
I mean, I have a couple small runs that I work on and completed. Like I just started reading Booster Gold in June. I completed my Volume 1 Booster Gold within like a month because I was like,
it's a great short run to work on.
It's a great short run.
And it's so entertaining. We geek on Booster Gold. I know Tony Sanders is another guy that loves Booster Gold.
And then Volume 2, I'm now like halfway through already on that because it's a very cheap and affordable collection. Like the most expensive one on the Volume 1 was a first appearance of Booster Gold, and you still can get that. Yeah, like,
absolutely,
still affordable.
Well, and you can some of those you can buy them in like sets. You can get like 20 of the issues.
Well, that's what I did. So Volume 2, Booster Gold, they're all almost like dollar books, except for I think issue 5, which is the one where he goes with the Killing Joke cover, basically, where Booster Gold tries to go back and stop Joker from shooting Barbara Gordon. That is like a $25 on eBay type of book.
Sure.
I found it in a lot of Booster Gold 1 through 25 for $25. Nice. I was like, yep, please. I don't even care what
pass that along.
I was like, yep, it's in great condition. So like I have little ones. My long-term goal has been I'm collecting all the Batman runs right now. So I have all Volume 3. I have Volume 2 all completed.
Wow. All of Volume 2 and Volume 3.
Yeah. So I mean, I got in. When I got back into collecting, I got in about issue 55 of Tom King's run.
King's, yeah.
So I then went back and that was my first thing. Go get all of Tom, the Tom King
and
run.
I think, as I recall, you and I, the first half of Tom King's run, both of us really loved that first half. Like the first. I'm willing to go all the way through 50 as like really enjoyable stuff.
Yep. And so I went back and got that, and then I went back and got Scott Snyder. I think there might be one or two I'm still trying to get for
do it
for Volume 2. It's not like they're not hard ones to get, so I'm not going to spend over the top money. Right. And now my big goal is trying to complete Volume 1 to a degree.
Sure.
I know like anything under 100, I'm probably not going to get. So right now my focus is 200 and above.
I think it's also like knowing your limitations and what your interests are. So like Biggie Shack and I've been talking a ton about the original Kirby Mr. Miracle run, which I know has had some issues spike, but there's still, it's only like 18 issues long, not a terribly long run, but iconic in so many ways. When you look at his, New Gods and his other stuff that Kirby was doing, I think it's one of those runs it's a super fun one to collect. You can buy it in a trade, so you can read the trade, even though you've got the issues. I think there's a lot of fun runs like that. Booster Gold being another example. Yep. So I've been working on my Kirby Mr. Miracle run. I've got almost all the keys. The final issue is the wedding.
Stan Lee one?
What's that?
The Stan Lee one?
No, I don't. There's a Stan Lee one?
Well, in Mr. Miracle, I think it's like issue 6 or 7. Kirby has like a kind of like a car salesman, charlatan kind of guy.
Oh,
who looks like Stan Lee.
Yes.
And it was very like it was a touching point. It was shots fired. It never was officially. It was Stan Lee, but it was Stan Lee.
It was the hiccups at the end, Sam. That's really got us. I know the character. Gotcha. But for me, it was like issue 1, the first Big Barda, Granny Goodness, getting the marriage, which is the final issue of the original Kirby Mr. Miracle run, is Barda and Scott Free getting married. Great book. And that one is stupid cheap. Like you could still get the wedding of Scott Free and Big Barda for like nothing. It's a Kirby original issue. You'd think it would be worth something, but So I think those kind of runs are kind of fun. Whether the Booster Golds or the sagas where people like aren't hunting after all these fun issues, but for a collector it just means something, right?
Right.
All right. Tom King's run was quality through the wedding, but jumped the shark after she dumped him. I'm kind of there, JP. That's kind of where I'm at. When it started getting into all the dream stuff, the Tom King thing just kind of went off rails a little bit.
I'm just, again, this goes back to nostalgia. I walked into the comic book store 3 years ago. I hadn't bought a comic book in 10, 15 years or been to a comic store in that long. And I was like, hey, where's the current Batman run? And he put me on issue 55. It was like 55 or 54. It was like the issue right before Nightwing gets shot. And so like that was my experience of reading Batman, and I liked it. And it's probably because I didn't read everything else beforehand, right? Of all these other great stories in 15 years, it just brought me back to what I felt as a kid. So I I don't hate the end of Tom King's run as much because that was when I started to get back into comics, and it's always been a special place.
Right, I get that because when I came back, I was super into the Batman and Superman when they did their first time. They kind of Ed McGuinness and Jeff Loeb were doing the coming together of Batman and Superman in a comic, and I was like, I geeked over all that. But then of course they had Michael Turner doing interior artwork on that stuff, and I was just like, what? But he does not get a pass, Perry. Come on, nobody gets a pass.
I always
blame. I do blame DC for the wedding fiasco. I blame Tom King for the crazy dream sequence crap that I couldn't quite understand. What is up? We got Tyler in the chat. What is going on? Shattered glass here. Okay, so I got one last random poll for us, maybe. Oh, where's my button? So we're gonna do one last random poll here. Let's see. I had one other overlay I was gonna play. This was pull the strings, pull. There you go. So yeah, I'll go first. I got another Batman book here. I got a lot of recent stuff. Let me find something a little older here. Where am I at? So you guys want to tell me when to stop here? What somebody want to say?
stop.
There it was. Wow, could not get a little more recent than the Tomasi Detective Comics run. But I mean, I do love these Bermejo covers are pretty freaking awesome. I love the glass with all the like bullet holes in it. So yeah, that was a pretty recent one. Let me see if I can find something a little older just for the she's and gees over here, folks. Let's see. I gotta have something a little more old school buried in here somewhere. Come on, John. What do you got? Well, I'm in my Catwoman stuff. Oh, here we go. Here's a Brave and the Bold Batman and Wonder Woman. How about that? This is the depowered Wonder Woman, no superpowers in her white costume.
Was this when she was a secret agent?
Yeah, well, she was like, she went through several little story arcs of why she didn't have powers. Let's see. I don't even know who's working on this issue. I don't know if anybody in the chat knows here. Sometimes they didn't even tell you who the artists and writers were. You have to like look it up.
Wow, Sam I am's calling you out. If you look at the cover, is it really random?
Right. I know this was not a random poll. The other one was a random. This is not a random poll. I was just trying to give you guys something a little older.
He was trying to give you some content, Sam.
Yeah, I was trying to just give you something a little nicer, something a little different. I mean, you guys have all seen some of that other stuff.
It's not Wednesday, is it?
It's not. It's not Wednesday. Let's look at some back issues. So there you go. Brave and the Bold. This is issue number 105. I love the pirate ship. This reminds me a little bit of that Neil Adams Two-Face.
Two-Face cover?
Two-Face, right?
Yeah.
All right, Greg, you get to go first this time. All
right. I'm gonna so we can go. We'll hopefully find an old school Batman book.
Okay.
A box that are right there. So I'm gonna get off screen, and you're gonna just tell me 3, 2, 1.
Stop.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Here we go. All right.
I'm ready.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Stop.
That chair is still super dope.
It is really awesome. I know, right? The perfect Batman guest, right? To talk Batman.
Coming. Sorry, I just had to get to the older school. A little older school, not is different. So this is good. This is Batman Hollywood Night. It's an Elseworld Batman.
Is that the
Pennyworth Dick Giordano?
Alfred driving the wagon there?
Yeah,
riding the horse.
Alfred. So this is I forget the complete story, but it was a 3-issue arc, and I want to say it was like a movie portrayal of like Batman, which then becomes kind of like real life. It was all I remember is I really enjoyed it, but it's been so long, so I need a but I mean the art is great in this series. Now I want to reread the Hollywood Nights.
I love the gangster that they got in the corner there.
Yep. And it is. It just is. I forget, and I'm going to butcher the storyline, so I'm not even going to tell any more about it. But they got Jack Napier is in this as one of the gangsters. And I
see. This is what I wanted the show to be. You randomly pull a book. You're getting a little bit of the story of what it's about. You're getting a little. It's not the key issues that everybody wants to hang on their walls. It's like, let's just see a book. You know.
Yeah. So this now makes me want to go back and read Hollywood Night. It's a 3-issue run. if anyone in the chat knows more about it than I do, I think it was done as like a movie production, but it was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool. It reminded me a little bit. Wasn't the what was it? Wasn't there a dream sequence where like Alfred was taking Batman through the desert or something? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of the Joker where he's like got Joker's head in a jar. That was the.
There's an episode of Batman the Animated Series called The Forgotten, where Bruce Wayne loses his memory. And
he's working in the the prison mining camp or whatever.
Mine out in the desert.
Yeah.
And then
he's got like white hair.
Yeah, he has white hair from his Matches Malone, I think, costume.
Yeah, I know my Batman Animated Series.
And then
maybe
Alfred flies in the Batplane. Like,
yeah. The music in that one was hilarious. It was like straight out of like that Paul Newman, Cool Hand Luke or something. Like the guitar, the twang.
They definitely went Cool Hand Luke style.
Oh, it's so good. Oh my god. Oh no! Don't talk about that book, John. Is there a book? Did I mention a book? Sorry.
The Batman, the last Joker.
Oh yeah, the Joker.
Last Night on Earth or something.
Last Night, yeah. I read one issue and I was like, I'm good. I don't need any more.
I had fun with that one though.
Did you? Was it good?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Well, then it's your turn. Let's see if you can pull something random here, Mr. Comic Man Andy. What do you got? All right, this time Greg will tell you when to stop.
Stop.
Hammer time.
Collaborate and listen.
Oh, interesting. I seem to forget that I received some of these double bagged, but Oblivion song number 2. It's quite the mishmash of books in this box. It's literally one of the boxes where I just put everything in there, and then I need to organize it and put it in the collection later.
Right.
But double whammy, single pull, Shanghai Red number 1 on the back that I haven't read yet.
I've never read. Who's the team on Shanghai Red? Old Wolf with a super chat. What's going on, man?
I need reading glasses here soon.
You can take shots at me as long as you're paying John. It doesn't matter.
Christopher Seabell, Joshua Hickson, and
it's an image book, right? It looked like an image book.
Yeah,
I never heard of it.
This must be in the dead. This must have come out in the dead zone when I wasn't reading.
I love it. Oblivion Song, by the way, is a great read. I've only read the first 3 trades, so I think I'm still behind where they currently are. But I really enjoyed the first 3 trades.
Yep,
I still think it's a great property.
Art, colors, and cover. Christopher Seabella, script and design. Hassan. Oh, good lord, no, that's like 14 letters. And just so happens he's on letters, but literally. OTSMANE hyphen.
I can't even keep up. I'm already lost.
Oh yeah, I know.
Well, the cover looked interesting. Was that a pirate ship I saw? We have a theme of pirate ships tonight.
I should have pulled my other Batman Elseworld where he was a pirate.
Yar.
Ooh.
Traveling with Metalbeard. I will say, Lego Batman's still one of my favorite Batmans. I just freaking love Lego Batman. Rewatched it last week. I could rewatch that movie 100 times.
It's a good one.
Yes.
Such a good movie. Will Arnett and Michael Cera as Batman and Robin. I mean, I want that live action almost. Those guys are so
I don't.
good.
I like it in the Lego. I don't want it in live action.
Well, we're almost on the hour mark, and this was definitely exactly what I wanted this show to be. A little bit of chat discussion going on here, but also just a great mishmash of like just fun. What are you collecting? What do you got in your boxes there? And just hanging out together. Ooh, it looks like Andy would like one more random pull, and he got some Silver Age Daredevil. It looks like
Sam says that's a box of mishmash. You're darn right. If you go from Oblivion Song 2 to Daredevil 46
in one box, right?
In one box. That was actually an AOK from Seawater 19.
Carson is an awesome dude. Wait a second. It was fine? Lego Batman was fine? Come on. Low bar. Something wrong with that bar.
You love your Legos, though, John, more than most people.
I do, but I also love Will Arnett. And you know what it might be? It might be that I'm just so overly Batman at this point that I feel like I want a satire of Batman. And I love when he's like, I got the 9-pack of a bat. I got the 9 abs. Like I could listen to Will Arnett's Batman.
So did you watch Teen Titans Go to the movie?
I did not.
You want to talk about an oversaturation of DC, and your mission this week or next 2, watch Teen Titans Go to the movies.
Okay.
Yeah, Batman book.
I think you will.
Jim Lee.
That's a great
Jim Lee.
cover.
There you go, baby.
I think you will. I think if you love Batman, Lego Batman as much as you do, I think Teen Titans Go to the Movie will be spot on for you.
Nice.
And your stance on DC humor right now. So
okay, because I will say everybody told me to watch the Harley animated series. I didn't watch it with my daughters. I watched one episode of that Harley series, and I was like, "This is trash." Like I did not like a second. Every joke, I was like, "That's supposed to be funny." I just thought it was stupid.
No, you can,
and I'm in the minority because I hear it's just everybody loves it. So
I like Harley Quinn, but it's a completely different style of humor.
Yeah.
Watch Teen Titans Go to the Movie. You can watch it with your girls.
It's a movie.
Yeah,
it's not a show. Okay.
Nope, it's Teen Titans Go to the Movie.
Is it on HBO Go? I can just.
It probably is. Honestly, now you say it, it probably is, and your girls will enjoy it. You'll enjoy it.
Missing pieces.
Oh.
All right, and Andy wants it, so I'll do one more.
No. I'm just goofing off while I listen from you guys.
All right, fine. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go over here. What we got over here?
I mean, this is absolutely stellar idea. I love the random poll idea.
I got this from the Comic Jabroni, and it's perfect because we're doing a little remembrance show on Rod's channel Saturday night for the Comic Jabroni. He knew I was getting into the Morrison run. I was getting into Damian Wayne a bunch, and he's like, "You got to have these 4 issues if you're a Damian Wayne fan." And so he sent me issue 656. Yeah. Early Damian Wayne moments happening here. So that's a good one to finish on. There you go. So yeah, I love Damian. I like his character. I like the introduction. Of course, the Kubert art is hard to argue with, so I'm a big fan of that. Okay. Overall, just fine for him. I know Perry is a huge MODOK fan. He's still talking about MODOK over and over again. I got to get around to watching that as well. So there you go. But I got Teen Titans Go to the Movies. I got to go watch. And apparently I got to catch up on some Batman. So I got to read some more Batman books.
You do.
I want to thank Comic Man Andy and the Bearded Comic Book Bro for joining us here today. They drop a ton of content, so you guys got to be ready for that. I was just on with the Bearded Comic Bro. Good Lord, what's wrong? I've been drinking. I was on his channel. Was it just yesterday? Holy cow.
The video dropped yesterday, yeah.
We were looking at the Green Lantern, and I got stuff here, and I got some stuff here. We were breaking down fan casting. Who would we cast for the key Green Lantern characters? We had Daryl Banks, none other than the co-creator of one of the all-time great Green Lanterns, and we geeked out a ton having him there with us. So he helped us choose our cast for the Green Lanterns. If you guys missed it, you missed something fun. You got to check that out. Andy, he's got the most consistent schedule on his channel of just about anybody. He was doing his unboxing, his mail. He's got his mail unboxing on Mondays. He's got his new comics on Wednesdays. The guy is just a clock. You could keep time by Andy versus my channel where it's like, is John live? I didn't even know he was doing anything today.
I've really found that keeping that schedule of live streaming is very cathartic for me, and it gives me an opportunity to actually seriously disconnect from my career and sit and hang out and talk about something that I'm passionate about.
Nice.
So it really sheds a lot of stress for me, even though essentially there's a bit of a workload when it comes to content creation. Even that workload is it's more beneficial as a stress reliever for me. So keeping that Monday and Wednesday, I feel like is actually helping me out with my own personal health. And then trying to take some of that long form content and clip it down into micro content for Fridays or Saturdays to drop a 10-minute video. I'm trying to explore with that a little bit more and have fun there. But man, I'm really thankful for this opportunity tonight, man. I had a rough day, Johnny. You have no idea. Bearded man.
I'm right there with you.
I got fired from the bank today. A little old lady walked up to me and asked me if she could check her balance, so I pushed her over.
I was hoping to get through the first show without. So hopefully, folks, you will come back around when I do another random poll show. Comic book random poll. The goal is to talk about runs, what's in the back issues, pull some random comics, debate a fun topic, and have some friends jump in to join me. That is really the goal, and I don't know when I'm going to do it. It's not guaranteed to be a Thursday show or a Wednesday show or anything. It's just going to be when I have the time with my work schedule and when I can make sure Andy is busy doing something else. But until then, folks, I hope you had a good time. We hope to see you again here soon, and have a good night.